Okay, we're back with our larger board that I did in kind of a Halloween motif. And I'm going to do this background starting out in a couple bright colors. I'm going to use a bright yellow and a bright green. Again, you can use whatever brand of paints that you have, and vary your colors depending on what your project is and if you have a theme to it. But I'm thinking this is going to be kind of a Halloween fall motif, so I want some bright oranges and yellows and greens. So I'm just going to just vary this color and just start painting in some of these sections. And you're going to have to use some kind of soupy paint to get down on all these little crevices. And these can vary. You don't have to just do one color. I'm just going to slop on green and yellow, just variegated around the edges. And again, remember these colors are really bright, but when we put our antiquing over all of them, they'll tone down. And in the center section, you can put whatever type of design you want. I'm thinking it could be a pumpkin patch, or it could be like a haunted house, if you were doing Halloween type things. And again, you don't have to do a board like this where you have a section that you're going to paint. Some of the other boards I showed you just have an overall design. But as I said, I had gotten this idea that I thought it would make cute picture borders, so that's why when I started these two projects I wanted to try that technique. I wanted to use that technique for a kind of a picture frame. And you could do this on like a mirror frame, or maybe you could work up some ornaments, like a little border. If you had little things that you could make a design with, you could make little borders around ornaments. And aside from the drying time, these work pretty fast, you can see, because you're just pretty much slopping paint on. It's nothing real precise. I thought this Halloween design too would be fun to add the glitters and metallics, and maybe find some little stones and things to put into the pumpkin and ghost eyes. Okay, so we've got that all covered in greens and yellows, and we'll let that dry and come back and start adding some additional colors. Okay, we're back. I've let the paint dry. I used a hairdryer to speed that up, and then I added a coat of glazing medium. That's the DecoArt Traditions glazing medium, but you could use satin varnish or a multi-purpose sealer. Any of those. I wanted to seal the paint because these are bright colors, and I'm going to be adding some purples and oranges and things over top of it, and I didn't want to take a chance of my paint lifting and getting muddy when I start adding some of these other colors. So here we are again, and I've pulled out some colors that I'm going to try on here. I've got an orange because of course we have pumpkins, so I thought that would be good for the pumpkins. I've got some quinacridone violet, which is just a bright red violet, and I've got dioxine purple. So, and then we can continue to use some greens and yellows. If we wanted some different values of yellow, you could get kind of an orange yellow and maybe a darker green like a phthalo green yellow. That would, you know, add some more vibrance to this background, because, you know, after we put all the colors on, we are going to antique it, and that will tone everything down. So sometimes it helps to start out with a little bit brighter values to start, so that when you add your antiquing over them, they don't get too muddied down. But that's all personal preference, you know, whether you want something bright or something more toned. So I've still got my palette here with the original two colors. And let's just start with something simple. And I'll add some of the orange to the pumpkins. And the pumpkins are a little smaller, so I'm just going to use like a 1/2-inch angle brush to start pushing in some oranges around these pumpkins. If you wanted them a little brighter, you could add some yellow into that orange to make it a lighter value of orange. And depending on the colors that we have in our base underneath it, it's going to tone it a little bit also, because you can see here we're putting it over this green. And because the orange is sort of transparent, since we're doing a wash, it's looking like more of a burnt orange when we put it over the green. Over here, over the yellows, it's a brighter orange. So I'm just scrubbing that in. You don't have to be real neat. You can just use your finger to wipe around the edges if you don't want it all over your background, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of that blending out into the background. See, like here, I can just tone that background a little bit by rubbing some around. Sometimes when you're sitting here going through it, it's hard to pick out all the different elements that were pressed into the background. I keep finding pumpkins. So maybe just to continue our oranges, I want to put some up here around this lizard. So I can just scrub some in and use my finger and rub it around. There's not a whole lot of reason or rhyme or reason why I'm doing colors in different areas. I'm just trying to repeat some orange throughout. So maybe now let's try some purple. And you see when you pull that out, that's just a deep purple. So maybe we put some of that on our ghost. It's going to look totally different when you put it here over top of this green. That's kind of looking a little dull. Maybe I'll look for an Americana purple that's brighter. Let's try the red violet mixed in with it. That might make a brighter purple for us. But whenever you want to add a color, you want to repeat that throughout the design so your eye travels. So we want some of these purples all around here. This color is Indian yellow. It's just a real bright orange yellow. It's real pretty mixed with this orange. It makes a real bright fuchsia color. Halo green is a real intense green that will add some deeper greens to that lime green that we've used. try a couple different purples on the go, see if we can brighten them up a little bit more. That might work pretty good. That's Wild Orchid by Americana. And we want to repeat that color in several places so it doesn't look like we've just dropped it in out of nowhere. I was going to try one of these neon deco art neon colors, see if we can get those lizards to really pop out of there. So that looks pretty colorful for now, so I think we'll let that dry and give it a coat of glazing medium or varnish to seal it, and then we'll antique that down.